I hurried up to catch up with him. He walked into the garage and started to tinker with the carburetor under the hood of an old green Ford pickup. "So you think I'm a fool?" I said, sounding more belligerent than I intended. "We're all fools together," he replied. "It's just that a few people know it, others don't. You seem to be one of the latter types. Hand me that small wrench, will ya?" I handed him his damn wrench and started to leave. Before I left, though, I had to know. "Would you please tell me how you got up on the roof so fast? I'm really puzzled." He handed me back the wrench, saying, "The world's a puzzle. No need to make sense out of it." He pointed to the shelf behind me. "I'll need the hammer and the screwdriver now. Over there." Frustrated, I watched him for another minute, trying to figure out how to get him to tell me what I wanted to know, but he seemed oblivious to my presence. I gave up and started towards the door when I heard him say, "Stick around and make yourself useful." Deftly removing the carburetor like a surgeon in the middle of a heart transplant, he set it down carefully and turned to face me. "Here," he said, handing me the carburetor. "Take this apart and put the pieces in that can to soak. It'll take your mind off your questions." My frustration dissolved into laughter. This old man could be irritating, but he was interesting, too. I decided to be sociable. "My name's Dan," I said, reaching out to shake his hand, smiling insincerely. "What's yours?" He placed a screwdriver in my outstretched hand. "My name doesn't matter. Neither does yours. What's important is what lies beyond names and beyond questions. Now, you'll need this screwdriver to take apart that carburetor," he pointed. "Nothing lies beyond questions," I retorted. Like how you fly up on that rooftop?" "I didn't fly. I jumped," was his poker-faced reply. "It's not magic, so don't get your hopes up. In your case, however, I may have to perform some very difficult magic. It looks as if I'm going to have to transform a jackass into a human being." "Who the hell do you think you are?" "I am a warrior," he snapped. "Beyond that, who I am depends on what you want me to be." "Can't you just answer a straight question?" I attacked the carburetor with a vengeance. Ask me one and I'll try," he said, smiling innocently. The screwdriver slipped and I skinned my finger. "Damn!" I yelled, going to the sink to wash the cut. He handed me a Band-Aid. "All right then, here's a straight question," I determined to keep my voice patient. "How can you be useful to me?" "I have already been useful to you," he replied, pointing to the bandage on my finger. That did it. "Look, I can't waste my time here any longer. I need to get some sleep." Put the carburetor down and got ready to leave. "How do you know you haven't been asleep your whole life?" "How do you know you're not asleep right now?" he said, watching me intently. "Whatever you say." I was too tired to argue. "One thing, though, before I go, how'd you pull off that stunt? You know, on the—" "Tomorrow, Dan. Tomorrow," he interrupted. Then he smiled warmly, and all my fears and frustration dissolved. He reached out and clasped my bandaged hand. Soon my hand, my arm, and my whole body started to tingle. He added, "It's been pleasant seeing you again." "What do you mean, again?" I began, then caught myself. "I know, tomorrow, tomorrow." We both laughed. I walked to the door, stopped, turned, stared at him, then said, "Goodbye, Socrates." He looked bewildered, then shrugged good-naturedly. I think he liked the name. I left without another word. I slept through my 8 o'clock class the next morning. By the time my afternoon gymnastics workout started, I was awake and ready to go. After running up and down the bleacher stairs, Rick, Sid, and I, along with our teammates, lay on the floor, sweating and panting, stretching our legs, shoulders, and backs. Usually I was silent during this ritual, but today I felt like telling them about last night. All I could say was, "I met this unusual guy at a gas station last night." My friends were more involved with the stretching pain in their legs than in my little story. We warmed up easily, doing a few handstand push-ups, some sit-ups, and leg raises, and then began our tumbling series. As I flew through the air again and again, as I swung around the high bar, did scissors on the pommel horse, and struggled through a new muscle-straining ring routine, I wondered about the mysterious feats of the man I'd named Socrates. My ruffled feelings urged me to avoid him, but I had to make sense out of this enigmatic character. After dinner, I quickly read through my history and psychology assignments, wrote a rough draft of an English paper, and raced out of the apartment. It was 11 p.m. Doubts began to plague me as I neared the station. Did he really want to see me again? What could I say to impress upon him the fact that I was a highly intelligent person? He was there, standing in the doorway. He bowed, and with a wave of his arm, welcomed me into his office. Please remove your shoes, a custom of mine. I sat down on the couch and put my shoes nearby, in case I wanted to make a hasty exit. Still didn't trust this mysterious stranger. I sat down on the couch and put my Sorry, everyone. It was starting to rain outside. The color and warmth of the office was a comfortable contrast to the dark night and ominous clouds outside. I started to feel at ease. Leaning back, I said, "You know, Socrates, I feel as if I've met you before." "You have," he answered, again opening the doorway in my mind where my dreams and reality become one. I paused. Socrates? I've been having this dream. You're in it." I watched him carefully, but his face revealed nothing. "I've been in many people's dreams. So have you. Tell me about your dream," he smiled. I told him in as much detail as I could remember. The room seemed to darken as the terrible scenes became vivid in my mind, and my familiar world began to recede. After I finished, he said, "Yes, very good dream." Before I could ask him what he meant by that, the station bell clanged and clanged again. He put on a poncho and went outside into the wet night. I stared out the window, watching him. It was a busy time of evening, the Friday night rush. Things got pretty hectic, with one customer driving in after another. I felt silly just sitting there, so I went out to help him. But he didn't seem to notice me. An endless line of cars greeted me. Two-tones, reds, greens, blacks, hardtops, pickups, and foreign cars, too. The moves of the customers varied as much as their cars. Only one or two people seemed to know Socrates, but many people looked twice at him, as if noticing something odd, but indefinable. Some of the people were in a party mood, laughing loudly and blaring their radios while we waited on them. Socrates laughed right along with them. One or two customers were sullen, putting forth a special effort to be unpleasant, but Socrates treated one and all with the same courtesy, as if each person were his personal guest. After midnight, the cars and customers grew scarce. The cool air seemed unnaturally still after having been filled with raucous noise and activity. As we entered the office, Socrates thanked me for my assistance. I shrugged it off, but was pleased that he noticed. It had been a long time since I'd helped anyone with anything. Once inside the warm office, I remembered our unfinished business. I started talking as soon as I flopped onto the couch. "Socrates, I have a couple of questions." He held his hands in a gesture of prayer, looking upward to the office ceiling as if asking for divine guidance, or divine patience. "What," he said with a sigh, "are your questions?" "Well, I still want to know about the roof, and why you said I'm pleased to see you again. And I want to know what I can do for you, and how you can be useful to me. And I want to know how old you are." Let's take the easiest one for now. I'm 96 years old, by your time. He was not 96. 56, maybe. 66 at the outside. 76. Possible, but amazing. But 96? He was lying. But why would he lie? And I had to find out about the other thing he had let slip too. "Socrates, what do you mean by your time? Are you on Eastern Standard Time, or are you," I joked feebly, "from outer space?" "Isn't everyone?" he replied. By then I had already considered that as a distinct possibility. Okay, so my clock is telling me that it's time to stop right here, and if you enjoyed that little sesh, then you can surely check in tomorrow and I will continue reading for you. Alright, sleep well, and I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Thank you.